working in Foster City. PBI Software provided a paid-for condo for my friend and colleague, Jeff Lefferts, and I, to stay in while we worked for the company. In retrospect, I suppose it was sort of an under-the-table payment, as we were not taxed on the money that was paid against the lease. Of course, the lease was not in our names, so I'm sure it was proper. Late one evening, Jeff and I were bored. We could not sleep. We had nothing to do. So we decided to go into PBI Software's offices and work into the wee hours. After all, we had been given security access codes to the alarm systems in the building, and we had badges. We could work anytime there we wanted. Well, we arrived and entered the security code, and the doors unlocked and we went inside. The door beeped for a secondary code. We always thought it was weird that there were effectively two alarm systems. The first one that was outside, obvious security panels and such, and the second one that was inside, a second security panel on another door, both of which had codes and they were separate. Later I would learn that the secondary security code was intended to stop dumb burglars that were not smart enough to get through the door, but did not realize there were internal alarm systems that they might trigger. Well, the alarm code on the inside door didn't seem to work. The light blinked red. Well, I entered the code again. It blinked red. Again, red. Oh my lord. The alarm blinked red continuously and began some kind of countdown. The alarm code was not working. Then a siren blared so loud that Jeff and I could not hear anything, not a word. We could open our mouths and scream, but nothing could be heard but the siren. It was deafening, louder than a jet engine. It was insanely loud. Honestly, I think for a while we were just paralyzed with fear. What should we do? But that question did not need answering, it turned out. Police car after police car rolled into the parking lot. Officers jumped out. They had rifles and pistols. It was right out of a television show. The Foster City PD took potential break-ins as a life and death incident. They took things way too deadly seriously. Their megaphones, barely audible over the massively loud alarm sirens, commanded us to come out, hands up, visible. Jeff and I were so scared, I swear, if I had to go to the bathroom, it would have been done right then in my pants. We walked out as commanded, hands held high and visible. The officers walked up and clearly saw that we were dumb kids, that we did not resemble thugs that might be breaking in. They asked us for details, which we explained. And they called the building contract owner, PBI President William Lowe, who happened to also be that Asian who approved us at the very beginning to make the game and get published. William Lowe explained that they had changed one of the codes but forgot to inform us. Thank you, William Lowe. And so it was all a misunderstanding. Apparently, Foster City billed PBI Software for the self-imposed emergency call. I suppose it was a sort of fine. In a random afternoon, the front desk admin could be heard one day frazzled, complaining that she had locked her keys in her car accidentally, and it would cost $150 to get a locksmith just to come out and unlock her car. It was a lot of money for a simple mistake. William Lowe heard her plight, and he dashed out. Wait! I can open it. Is it that car over there? You drive the Corolla, right? The admin nodded, and William was off to her car right away. As he walked towards it, he pulled a pen from his pocket and snapped its lapel clip off. He inserted the clip into the lock as if it was a key, and after a few subtle shifts of his hand and fingers, the door lock just popped up and he opened the door. William Lowe was a locksmith magician. We were stunned with how easily he made it look. and with an everyday ballpoint pen lapel clip. William was amazing. One night, things were not as expected. Jeff and I often worked into the wee hours of the night as well as weekends. A shadowy figure in a trench coat and a fedora hat showed up in a BMW around midnight. We wondered if the president, who was there unusually late for himself, had planned such a late meeting with this guy. He went into the president's office and he left about an hour later. William Lowe, the founder and president of both PBI Software and MD Ideas, and apparently director for ITAT, the company based in China, told us that he was a Chinese ITAT visitor. And due to time zones, it just made sense to meet at midnight. Well, we surmised that made sense, and we resumed our normal work, minding our own business. A week or so later, PBI Software's Chief Financial Officer, or CFO, saw me looking for something in a filing cabinet and became rather upset. I don't recall why I was looking for something in the cabinet, but it was in a hallway alcove near stationary supply cabinets. The CFO told me to never look in any cabinet, in any room, in any box, or anything without express permission from himself or William Lowe. It seemed crazy to me, albeit in my hubris, that he would tell me I shouldn't look in a cabinet that I could just walk in the hallway and access. Well, I did walk away, being so directed. But the CFO followed me. Anyway, I guess he changed his mind. He dragged me to his office and explained firmly, "Listen to me, Richard. William Lowe is Tong. ITAT means it takes a thief. You hear that? ITAT stands for it takes a thief. PBI Software means Pirates Bay International. Yeah, PBI, Pirates Bay International. MD Ideas is more damn initials. MD Ideas, more damn initials." He stressed William Lowe is a mobster, and these names are his conceit, that he is above everyone, and that he thinks he can show them, dangle it in front of them, that the truth is right there, but they cannot see it. The CFO said that I should speak with the head of hardware engineering to learn more. Well, and so I did decide, and I did meet with the engineering lead. And he proudly told me that he was head of hardware engineering for MD Ideas, the most senior engineer. Well, there was no other senior engineer, so it made him the most senior engineer. I guess his title was justified, although the way he presented it was quite full of bravado and hubris. So, what did he tell me? He first said that working for William Lowe was great. You can have absolutely anything you want. He listed some pretty amazing things: cocaine, marijuana weed, girls, anything. He said, just ask. He told me, you need to get more cash? You need expenses paid? Just ask. He was right after all. We were living in a rent-free condo in Foster City. And they made sure we had cash for spending money and whatever we might need. It didn't really seem based on salary, but rather what we just said we needed. It hadn't occurred to me that we could ask for more. It almost sounded too good to be true. Well, was there a catch? Yes, there was a major and very big catch. Accept the gifts and you were tied to William Lowe forevermore. In fact, That engineer said that if I even left now, I may not live long enough to see an alternative future. Anyway, the fact was that my talking to him meant that I already knew too much to exit. I had struck gold and published my first game, The Tower of Miraglin, and then another game, Sea Strike, and another game, Monte Carlo, and yet another game, Cavern Cobra. I had made a name for myself. Learning all of this Tong mobster stuff, though, felt straight out of a TV movie. I decided that I should resign, and so I informed William Lowe of my intent. William asked that Jeff and I attend a breakfast with him at the International House of Pancakes, IHOP. He said the IHOP that he likes was based in Sausalito, on the other side of San Francisco, but it was worth the hour ride. I felt it was a little uncomfortable, honestly, riding along with who was apparently a mobster that I had just told I intended to quit after being cautioned I might be dead if I did. Well, en route, he stopped at his house in San Francisco to fetch something that he said he had forgotten earlier. There's limited parking in the city, but he had an automatic garage door opener, so he could just pull right in and close it behind him. Well, he did that. We waited as he went into his house, and Jeff pointed to the garage peg tool wall, where there were not tools hanging, but instead hung 2 Uzi submachine guns and several assault rifles. We could not recognize them, but they were guns. Big guns. Jeff was not feeling very good about them. He was feeling very uneasy. I said it was an intimidation tactic. We should just ignore it. Maybe they were toys, I joked. William returned and without fuss opened the garage door, and off to Sausalito's IHOP we were. As we entered IHOP, the greeter welcomed William Lowe by name, and he said his back room was ready. That was weird. William Lowe had a special relationship with IHOP, and he had a back room just for him. What the heck? That seemed very weird. We went into a remote booth in a sectioned off room. William leaned back, sort of a power play of confidence and control, and almost snickered as he began to speak. Look, I know you guys heard I may have some connections that you don't approve of. Hey, everyone has baggage and pasts, right? Mine is the past. Anything you heard is just not real. You get me, right? Well, I felt like this was that moment, that I would be free of William Lowe or locked forever in a struggle to escape. Maybe it was a wild TV show episode, but I lived it in the moment. And I said, William, no, we know who you are. We know the Tom. We know that you've sold more copies of my games than were actually sold at retail. We know you're laundering money with my games. William Lowe broke in. Hush! Keep your voices down. That is all just untrue fiction and lies, he then said more calmly. Your game is great. Anyone that says otherwise has not played it. I played your game, and I love it. I love all of your games. You make really good games, and you're making good money. And you have a good place to live. And you can have anything. Just ask me. You're my guys. You know, my guys. I need you. William Lowe, the president, was charming, smooth, and compelling, and Jeff was falling for it. I sensed there were deceptive cookies in all of his messages to sway us, much like church groups had done in the past to sway me. So I answered, "No, William. Again, we know the truth. I know the truth. I wrote this all down, and I've sealed it in 3 envelopes," I told him. "I have called and sent one such envelope to a lawyer for recording, so that if I don't check in, he's going to give it to the police. I will do this for as long as I feel necessary, and you will never know when I decided to stop it or not. So I'm telling you right now, I'm quitting. You're letting me go. And you're gonna pay me the royalties for my games." William just replied, "Okay, I'll drive you back and get the F out when we're done." It was almost over, but he never paid me my last paycheck, and he stopped paying for the condo immediately. It left us in a bind, and he never paid the royalties that were due. Well, I used that lawyer to sue PBI Software. However, they settled for mere thousands of dollars as they declared bankruptcy and formed a new shell company just like PBI and MDI were before to ITAT. But I was free of the tongue. I had learned a lot. I cannot say that it was not a good experience for most of it, even if I had to deal and engage with remarkably scary and dangerous people. While at PBI Software, I developed quite a few games. Like I said, the Tower of Mirrorglen was finished and published, a casino simulation Monte Carlo, a vertical shooter game based on Desert Storm called Sea Strike, and a horizontal shooter game called Cavern Cobra. And from there, it was like I had a name in games. I secured deals with major publishers like Atari Games, Activision, Interplay, Electronic Arts, Microsoft Xbox, Saga, Sony PlayStation, and more. I had arrived. First, I freelanced for nearly a decade until I decided to join Atari Games as a full-time employee, instead of just contracting with them. I wanted to make new home video games instead of just making versions of stand-up arcade games.